Hey everyone, welcome to your PlayPosit. We are finishing up Unit 3 in your OMHS, so go ahead and grab your notes and we'll get started. Another friendly reminder that next Friday, October 14th, is your end date for our assignments in Algebra 1. Remember that your teacher graded assignment end date is this Friday, October 7th. That does not pertain to any of our lessons currently. Excuse me. We will have some in the future. I think our next quarter we do, but not for this round. So please make sure that you're looking in your grade book and finding any missing assignments that have zeros. This should be the first thing that you tackle. And then if you have any low grade assignments and you'd like to review those, review your lessons and retake them. And then of course, if you need any help from me on these steps, please let me know. We do have our office hours with Miss Gilner this, oh my gosh, I always forget. It's Tuesday at 3:30. Yep. It should be on your schedule. And then we have our Wednesday targeted session with me. Let me know if you all have any specific questions. Today we're going to finish our notes from last week. I just want to review those two questions that I kind of, not really, assigned for homework. And then we're going to work on writing equations from a graph. All right, so from last class, you want to grab your notes from last class to make sure you fill these in. We did this one together, but I thought we could finish up and do this one in our PlayPosit. X is -3. That's always going to be right here. No matter what y is, x will always be -3. And we have a solid line, remember, because this is an equal to here. And then we will pick our test point. I always like 0, 0. Is 0 less than or equal to -3? And it is not. So we will shade away from that point. We're going to shade over the solutions. All right, let's graph this one. We have a +2 as our y-intercept, and then our slope is up 5 over 3. I'll get it in both directions. Kind of going off the graph here a little bit. That's okay. We got the intersection. That's really what's most important because the solution to a system, remember, the solution to a system is where they overlap, where those shaded regions overlap. So let me see. Every time I try to change up my color, my pen messes up on me. So I'm a little worried to do that. Yeah, we'll just stick with the black. All right, we're going to pick a point. We can pick 0, 0. Is 0 less than 2? That is true. So we're going to shade over 0, 0, which makes this small-ish triangular region the area where they overlap. So this is our solution set. That means any point in this area will work in both of those inequalities. All right, now we have some word problems. So this is the most interesting real life kind of questions, right? Where you're not just dealing with graphs, that we have a real sort of example. It says Kendra's making a large salad for a party. She buys lettuce for $2.25 per pound and tomatoes for $2.65. She spends at least $8. So we're going to let X represents lettuce, the pounds of lettuce, and Y is tomatoes. So let's write an inequality that represents this situation. So we have $2.25 per pound of lettuce. Well, it said to let X represent pounds. So we'll multiply the cost per pound. Plus the tomatoes are $2.65 and the cost per pound is Y, right? And we know that that's going to be $8. But we don't know what inequality to put here. So at least, it's going to be, she's going to spend at least $8, which means, can she spend $9? Sure. Can she spend 7? No, because that's not at least 8. So we know it's going to be greater than or equal to 8. It's going to be at least 8 and then potentially more, depending on the amount of pounds she gets. All right, here's our second example. We have some cashews and almonds. Cashews are $7 per pound and almonds are 5. The employee wants to make less than 6 pounds of the mixture and a total cost no more than $30. So we kind of have two things going on here now. In the last question, it was only like a cost equation. We had price per pound, price per pound. This one, we have the price per pound, but then we also have just pounds. So we're going to have a cost inequality and we're going to have a pounds inequality. So just like the last one, we know the cost one is $7 per pound. Cashews is X right here. Plus $5 per pound, almonds is Y. And that can be no more than $30. So the 30 is going along with the 7 and the 5 because those are all dollar amounts. So they all go together. And it's going to be no more than 30. So that means it's going to have to be less than or equal to 30. Because it can't be more than, it can't be $31. This is interesting because you see more than and you think you should write greater than, but it's no more than. Okay, and then we have our pounds equation. So the total pounds, just pounds, nothing to do with money, just pounds, they want it to be less than 6. So you're going to have however many pounds of cashews plus however many pounds of almonds has got to be less than 6. There's our system. Right, we talked about this a little bit in our last class when we talked about like the gold and the silver, and we've already alluded to it here, but the solutions to a system, again, it's where they overlap. So in this example, it's going to be this red shaded region here. Those are all the solutions, and that's it. Easy as that. The very last thing we're going to learn in this unit is how to go in the opposite direction. So this time you're given the graph and they want you to write the equations. So it's kind of like you're hunting for all the pieces of the puzzle. So let's start with this line. I'll label it line 1. And you know the form of a line, y equals mx plus b. So we're looking for m and we're looking for b. Of course, we're not going to have equal to, we're going to have some inequality, but this is a great place to start. So I always think it's easiest to find b first. B is the y-intercept right there. So that's going to be plus 2. We know we'll have a y and we'll have something with an x. So x, the number with the x is the slope. So remember, you can start at one point that's on a grid mark and you'll have to get to another point on a grid mark. So we're going to go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. There we go. So it's up 1 over 2. The very last step is deciding what inequality symbol we're going to have. It's a solid line, so we know it's going to be equal to. And then I personally like to still pick a test point. So if we pick 0, 0, if we were to plug that in for x and y, we would have 0 something 2. Well, look at the picture. It's shaded below the line, which means it's going to be shaded over 0, 0. It's not currently shaded over 0. That's okay. That's because they've only shown you the solution to the system, the parts where they overlap. But because you know it's below this line, you know it's going to continue. So we know 0, 0 is true, which means we want to make this a true statement. So 0 is less than 2. So there's our inequality. Let's do equation number 2, or inequality number 2. I'll do it down here. So our y-intercept is -3. And then we're going to have something with an x and a y. So again, our slope, we can go down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. So down -2 over 1. It's a dotted line, so we will not have equal to. And you can see that 0, 0 is not a solution because it's being shaded this way. So let's pick a point that is a solution. Anything, -3, -1. So if we were going to plug in -3, -1 for x and y, we would have -3 and then -2 times -1 minus 3, -3. I'm leaving this space here because I want to try to figure out which inequality to put. This is a +2 minus 3, so -3, -1. So what is -3 to -1? -3 is less than -1, right? So we're going to have less than. So these are our two inequalities. And guess what? You can put it into Desmos to double check your work. Let's do that. It's always a good idea. Y is less than or equal to, I'm just using the keyboard, 1/2 x plus 2, and y is less than -2x minus 3. There it is. So you can see that as we compare the graphs, they go through the y-intercepts of -3 and +2, and the solid line is shading towards the bottom. We have this intersecting region that matches our graph. Let's try this one over here, graph number 1. So this one is going through -3 on the x-axis, so we know it's going to be x something -3. It's a solid line, so we'll definitely have an equal to, and it's shaded to the left, see? Just follow that shading. So let's pick a point in the shaded region. How about -4, 0? So when x is -4, well, we don't have anything for y because there's no y output. Is -4 greater than or less than -3? It is less than. So our symbol is going to be less than or equal to. Our second line is going through +2. We're going to have some x, and here's our y. And the slope, we could start here, trying to find one right on a grid mark. Looks like here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, up 5 over 3. And then you can see that this is the shaded area. We just continue where the red would be. And 0, 0 is a solution. So let's try 0, 0. Is 0 something? 2. 0 is less than 2. So we will just have less than, right? Because it is a dotted line. So there's your system. So it's good to start with your goal and you're kind of just working backwards. It's a puzzle. If you have some other techniques in figuring out the inequality symbol, that's totally fine. I personally like picking a point because it always works. Two more examples here, just to kind of wrap it all up. Graphing the system, we're going to graph these like we graph equations. Put a dot on the y-intercept, right? And then the slope is 2, up 2 over 1. And it's equal to, so we will have a solid line. And pick a point, 0, 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 1? It is. So we will shade over 0, 0 because it's true, it works. Our second line here, we'll put a dot on -3. And we'll go down 2 over 1. Oops, hold on. This one is dotted, right? Because it's just greater than. I wish I had another color, but I'm worried that if I start to change things up that my pen will just stop working, and it's working great right now. So let's pick 0, 0 again. Is 0 greater than -3? And it is. So we will shade over 0, 0. Ooh, this worked out kind of cool. You can see the crosshatch is where the solution set is, this area over here. If you were to pick anything over there, it would work in both of the inequalities. All right, our last puzzle piece, line number 1. Here's our y-intercept. So we know we're going to have a plus 2, some kind of x, a y, and let's find the slope. So we'll go down 1 over 3, down 1 over 3. So down, meaning negative, down 1 over 3. Then you just got to figure out what's the inequality symbol. So this one is shaded over 0, 0, so 0, 0 is true. So if 0, 0 is true, that means 0 is less than or equal to 2. And I chose less than or equal to because this is a solid line. So there's our first inequality. And our second one goes through negative 1, some x, right? Some y. We'll find our slope, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Is it 2 over 1? Hold on. Oh, it's 3. 1, 2, 3 over 1. I thought that looked a little funny. 1, 2, 3 over 1. Yeah. So up 3 over 1. And then we'll just decide it 0, 0 is a solution because it's shaded over 0, 0. So is 0 what than negative 1? 0 is greater than negative 1. And we'll have the equal to since it's a solid line. You could always graph these two in Desmos and make sure that they match. I wanted to point out something for y'all in Unit 3. I have an actual added test review for you, and there is an answer key. Once you've visited and completed the test review, the answer key will open for you so you can check your work. This is not like an end-all, be-all, complete review kind of situation, but I wanted to start adding more review for you. So what I recommend is actually going to your gradebook, looking at the Unit 3 items, and let's say, you got, actually, you should probably just look at every single quiz, right? Pull up the quiz that you took for the first lesson in Unit 3, and just look over it. Click review, review it, and if you're like, okay, yeah, I totally remember this, I think I'm good to go on that, or maybe not. Maybe you want to review some from that lesson. So you're right in that lesson. You can click the back arrow and you can go to the practice problems in that very lesson. Do that for each of the lessons. That's what this review what you've learned prompt is for. Do that for each of the lessons in Unit 3, and then do the Unit 3 review, and then check your answers, and then, of course, reach out with any questions, but this will just hopefully better prepare you to kind of review what you've learned in the whole unit. I will see you Wednesday and Thursday. I wish it was tomorrow. We never see each other enough, right? So I will either see you Wednesday or Thursday. I hope you all have a great beginning of your week. Bye, everyone.